Hey comic book fans, welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Geezers. I am Wild Bill, the Unknown Comic, your host, and the guy who thought of it all, sitting right over here.
I'm Pete. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another edition of the show. It's extended storyline arc once again. Today, this is what, episode 4, I think, of these that we've done.
Well, the fourth story arc, third technical video.
Yeah. So this one is not a long one. I actually thought this was a little longer. It's like 2.5 issues, but what's cool about it, it's kind of like a crossover event. So we're looking at Tomb of Dracula number 44, Doctor Strange number 14, and then back to Tomb of Dracula number 45. So yes, this is the big crossover between Doctor Strange and Dracula. And of course, you had Gene Colan and Tom Palmer, who were the guys who did the artwork for both of these series, and it was a neat little crossover. So here, this is where it all starts. So this is in Tomb of Dracula number 44. So let's get this bad boy open.
Nice cover.
Yeah. So basically, what happens here is that you all know Doctor Strange's assistant. His name is Wong, right? So he winds up falling into the clutches of Dracula and gets bitten. So in the comics here, when Dracula bites someone, there's almost like this 3-day incubation period. Right?
Okay.
So I think it's
before they turn.
Before they turn, so it's like 72 hours. So Doctor Strange notices almost like there's a disturbance in the force, right? So he knows that there's something going on with Wong. So here he does this. They do this astral plane stuff, right? So he notices that Wong is kind of incapacitated, and then he finds out. He can see
that he's partially undead.
He's undead. He's got marks on the neck, right? So he's like, oh, so he's like, I gotta rescue Wong, right? So what he does is he goes, and I believe this is during the period where the Tomb of Dracula series was taking place in Boston, Massachusetts. So what he does, and again, if you read both of these comics with the wonderful Gene Colan artwork, these two were made to meet at some point. You just had to know that Doctor Strange and Dracula were going to come, because there was this kind of creepy atmospheric nature of both comics that I think worked really, really well. So what happens here is that, and you got some of the Tomb of Dracula regulars like Harold pop in and out of here, but eventually, using the eye of Agamotto, right? Doctor Strange actually can see what happened. So here he's able to see kind of like a spectral version of Dracula attacking Wong. So he finds out exactly how that happens, and he goes then and finds the lair of Dracula and confronts him. Right. So here you have the magician against the Prince of Darkness, the undead. And so Doctor Strange is like unleashing all these kind of spells and things on Dracula. But unfortunately, it doesn't really work out that well. But he gets into Dracula's mind, and he almost like gives Dracula like a walking nightmare, so to speak, that goes back in time to when he was, Vlad the Impaler or what have you. But then Dracula's got this will that, right, you just can't break. So he eventually breaks out of that, and as you can see here, he's starting to overtake Doctor Strange. And then the final page is that he does that, and Doctor Strange falls under the will of Dracula. And then as you can see in that last panel there, he succumbs, and he gets bitten.
He does.
Left for dead. And then, of course, and I love how they do this, the very last page is this separate storyline, which is Blade, who's looking out, trying to kill Dracula, comes across Hannibal King, who's this other vampire that's very popular in the Tomb of Dracula series that is also trying to kill the Prince of Darkness, Dracula. So even though he's a vampire, he's out to get Dracula as well. So then there's a confrontation there. We'll get to that in a minute. So here, now we're going to pop over to the Doctor Strange series, issue number 14. Really cool cover. So here you see Doc has already been bitten, yet he is now going into his astral plane, so to speak.
He's dying.
Yeah, he's dying, but he's able to go on to the spiritual side of it.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, how it is, Dracula basically leaves him for dead. Right. So here we have great opening splash page there. Right. So you got the neck bitten, right? You got the blood dripping down, and Dracula's kind of like, all right. And this is the best. Look at him licking his fingers, right? Look how evil he looks there. That's great. And the way they say it, so it's like, the Lord of the Undead wipes the blood from his lips and licks his fingers and ponders. Only two things on all the earth does he fear, the cross and sorcery, which to him is much the same. So basically, I mean, this is great. He just basically picks up Doc Strange and throws him in the cellar. It's like, hey, here you go. See you in 3 days, dude. And you'll be my minion, right? So Doc is basically laying dead on the floor for the most part, but then all of a sudden you see his astral projection, actual form, that's what I was looking for, coming up and looking at his body laying down below, right?
Get up!
So he's like, Vipers of Valtor, you know, what has happened here, right? So here
he just threw you down like a used candy wrapper.
Exactly, right?
Down into the dungeon hole.
So Doc is actually in that form. He's able to kind of go and really figure out what the hell he's going to do here, because that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to do something in his astral form to be able to deal with this whole situation, and also try and rescue Wong from his affliction, his fate. As well. Yeah, exactly. So
he's got less time.
He absolutely does. He's got like a day on him at least, right? So here, then, you know, they follow Dracula along, you know, going out and trying to get more victims and whatever. And here he is in the streets of Boston, and all of a sudden this woman, who is actually his former love, coming into appear, and he's like, no, that can't be. And is it really his former love,
or Doctor Strange implant?
Exactly, or posing as his ex-former love, and that's exactly what it is.
He's posing.
Yeah,
he's posing.
He's posing.
He's using deception.
That's right. Wow. That's right. And he's able to.
He's mixing love and deception.
That's right. Oh. But he's keeping Dracula occupied for an extended period of time. And what's happening? The sun.
Better?
No, the sun is coming up. So now
the sun's coming up.
So Dracula in his bat form is like
reminiscing.
Is trying to find. He's like, God, I got to get out of the sun. So he crashes into a shack. Right?
Is he still daydreaming about the girl?
No, not anymore, because he's figured it out now. But Doctor Strange has kept him busy for so long that he lost track of the time. So the sun is coming up. So he crashes into this little shack here. And then he
flew into the roof.
And then they fast forward to the third night, which is the night that Doctor Strange is supposed to. Yeah, so
let's focus on this part.
Yeah, well, so he crashes into the shack and is able to hide out for the night. Okay,
because he gets out of the sun.
He gets out of the sun. So then they fast forward to the next night when he comes up. He gets up. He goes back to the original place where he has Doctor Strange locked in the cellar.
Doctor Strange gave up.
Yeah, because he was in his astral plane. I know. Yeah, I know. They could have gone.
Could have went and finished him off.
He could have, right? Yeah, he could have. And then he wakes up the next morning, and he knows it's Doctor Strange that was doing that. So he goes into the cellar where Doctor Strange is still laying there, and he's got a stake, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to mess you up, dude. So he goes, I survived, sorcerer, and now as you arise, I swear you shall not. So here he is right there, Dracula with a stake.
Going to impale
Doctor Strange. I mean, what a wild turn of events that is, right?
And he's not even a vampire yet.
But then Doctor Strange is able to project his astral form back into his body, and his body is risen as a vampire now. So now the two of them are going battle to battle, vampire versus vampire.
This is crazy.
This is intense, right? And then, but you know, it's like Dracula is still as strong as anything. So he's throwing Doctor Strange around. But Doctor Strange then conjures up some sort of mystical mumbo jumbo, whatever he does, and he gets Dracula into a choke and puts all his powers in and burns Dracula to death.
With mumbo jumbo?
With whatever. So here Dracula basically burns, right? He's like smoking, and he's like, you know, crumbles to the floor. And if you watch a lot of these vampire movies, right, whenever or Dracula films, if you are someone who is in that halfway stage and you're not fully turned yet, but you're in the process,
and he dies.
If you kill Dracula, you go back to normal.
The spell is broken.
The spell is broken. So that's exactly what happens here. So not only is the spell broken for Doctor Strange, it's also broken for Wong. So then,
and this is because
they think they killed Dracula, because Dracula is lying here in a heap. They think he's dead.
He's in a heap,
and so they're like, "Whew, we're good."
He's just a dead carcass right now.
He's a dead carcass. They decide to leave, and they think everything is okay, right?
Wrong.
Yeah, right. So fast forward to the final issue, and we'll get to it in a second. But so here. we continue on. So this is issue number 485. Okay, so this is the focus in this issue is actually Blade and Hannibal King. But in which we're just going to bypass all of that because that part of the story is not really what
that's back burner stuff for the next episode.
So here we go. So I'll let you take a quick look first. So there is Dracula laying dead. Okay, and you can see Doctor Strange and Wong walking away. And then as soon as they're gone, what happens? Up pops Dracula in his normal Dracula form, and he basically says, "He is gone, and so I return to my human form. And though the magician thinks me dead, truly I had never died at all. A deception was necessary, though my heart and whatever soul still dwells within me cries at its need. Yet Dracula is always a realist, if nothing else. To survive in a battle with a sorcerer supreme, my cunning was as necessary as my vampiric powers. For power matched with power, Strange could have overwhelmed me, but I am not Dracula for naught." And then basically he just decides, you know, I escaped this whole encounter. We're going to let Doctor Strange go off. I got other things to worry about. So that ends really the story, and then it continues on with Blade and Hannibal King and all the other stuff, and then they continue on with that whole thing. But my point is that as much as I enjoy this story, if Dracula was indeed not dead, then how did Doctor Strange and Wong get to go back to their regular human form? I don't get it. Or did it because...
Oh, because he didn't die, Dracula?
Yeah. So that should have never happened if he wasn't truly dead and he was just deceiving them.
So they should have still been like kept in limbo or turned.
Or turned.
Right.
Exactly.
They should have turned.
So I don't understand that. Or was he dead, you know, truly dead, but Dracula could always bring himself back? That doesn't really make much sense. I don't know.
You're asking too many questions.
I'm asking a lot of questions. I want some answers, damn it. I want some answers.
I can represent Marvel for a second. Hold on there, kid. Just buy the comic next month, will you?
Yeah. But a really cool story that I think could have been...
Good artwork.
Great artwork. But could have been longer. I would have liked to have seen them flesh this out a little bit more.
Okay.
And, you know, it goes back to a conversation we had here on the channel a while ago where we talked about how Dracula did not really interact much with the other Marvel characters. This is one of the few. We had Silver Surfer pop up in a later
number
issue.
50.
We had the crossover with Spider-Man in that giant size issue, but they never even
had any interaction.
They had no
Peter
interaction.
Parker bumped into him and said sorry.
Right, they were on the same boat, but they never interacted other than that. And then I know that much later on, after the end of the Tomb of Dracula series, he appeared in X-Men, I believe. And that was it. I don't think they
Dracula?
Yeah, but I think that this was a work of genius to be able to bring these two characters together, considering that, you know, the creators are basically the same. But I think they could have done a lot more with it. But it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. But I would have, you know, 2.5 issues, not even two and maybe a quarter issues is what it actually was. I would have liked to have seen more because I think they could have really extended and maybe gone more into the fact that he wasn't truly dead, and maybe have Doctor Strange, you know, start to really turn into a vampire.
Vamp out.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, but, you know, cool nonetheless, and I think I was, originally for this episode, I was going to do something totally different, and then I was looking through some books, and I was like, oh, but there's that.
Yeah,
I was like, that's
a good one.
So we'll get back to the one I was originally thinking about some other time. So there you have it, everybody. Another little excursion into... Yep. Extended storyline arcs. This one not too extended, but just good enough. Nice crossover. We'll do a lot more of these crossover things. I think those are a lot of fun. So I'll let him finish us out here today.
And guys, I'm Wild Bill from Comic Book Geezer saying thanks for being here again with us today for another episode of storyline arcs, episode number 4. And do me a favor, will you? Keep sending those comments.
Oh, yeah. Comments have been great lately. Yeah.
Thank you for your subscriptions and telling your friends about us. And click the notification bell to be kept in the loop every time we pop out a new video. This way you know what's going on. And again, as always, thanks for your support. We appreciate your comments. We thank you for being here. We thank you for watching.
Yeah.
And definitely, we're slowly growing. We're getting closer to 4 years. And we just passed 2,000 subscribers thanks to you guys.
Yeah, yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
So,
and if you have some suggestions, especially on the storyline arcs shows, because, you know, Bill and I have thousands of comics. So sometimes, you know, we're thinking like, well, what are some of those extended storyline arcs? So if you guys who are watching are big into the stuff from the 60s, 70s.
And it doesn't have to be a story arc. It could be a one-hit wonder. issue or something,
Yeah.
storyline or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
something that's, I mean, you know, we're trying to go stuff that goes multiple issues, but I think the crossover ones are cool, where it's like a similar story or a single story goes to different series. But if there's stuff that you think you would love to see us cover from the 60s, 70s, and early 80s, put it in the comments below. If we got it, we'll go dig them out and we'll talk about those. So you know,
take a look.
Yeah, there's so many comics, so it's like, you know, trying to remember like all the like extended storylines are like, you know, sometimes like, oh, I know there was a bunch in this and here and there. So you know, but any help you guys can provide to making suggestions.
There's enough material there to last your lifetime.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So
anyway, gang, as always, thanks for being here. Good seeing you again. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye bye.